Hello everyone and welcome back to Whisky Wednesday. We're doing another miniature video today. This one is again courtesy of Mark Littler and it is a Gordon MacPhail Connoisseur's Choice bottling from Northport, or also known as Brechin, or as we'll go through the history in a minute, also known as a lot of other things too. This is a 1970 distillate, bottled at 40%. Thought I tried a Northport before, turns out I was wrong. Lowdown on this bottle goes as such, from our little database. 1970 Northport / Brechin Connoisseur's Choice bottle. It sold for a full price on auction last in July 2021 for £250. There is a shop link for it, lostdistilleries.ch for £870. Whisky Fun gave it an 84, and the whisky base code for it is WB197586. I'm going to click on that now just to see how old the whisky actually is. I think it's a 20-year-old. We will double check that. Doesn't say. Don't know when it was bottled. Can't find the information out. Phone goes over there. I thought the last video I did was quite long, so I'm just going to try and keep this a little bit short. Apologies for shooting in a different room today, just quite busy in the house. It has this stunning orange colour to it. And when I tried this a couple of weeks ago, was honestly kind of blown away by how interesting it was. History of the distillery. So in 1820, it was opened by some local farm folk, like a local farming family, and it was called the Townhead Distillery. In 1823, it was then renamed to the Brechin Distillery. In 1825, Glencadam was opened just down the road. And for some reason, they thought that was necessary to rename the distillery to Northport, but they didn't rename the distillery until 1839, so another 14 years later. 1926 to 1928, distillery production ceased for a little bit. It was opened back up between 1937 until the start of World War II in 1939, and then it reopened in 1948 and ran until its closure in 1983. So not that many different owners. It essentially went from independent into what is now Diageo ownership, and Diageo still own it now. But yes, here it is. Let's smell, taste, and see what's going on. Still smells the same as the first time I tried it. No idea what casks this selection of stock has been in, but it is a beautiful vanilla-y, salty caramel, sherry sort of note. Loads of green things like green gauges and green apples and pear. It's kind of what I want, because Diageo keep releasing cask strength versions of Cardew and Oban with like weird cask finishes and stuff on them. I don't think they need that. I think just a cask strength version of the whiskey would be fine. And all of the cask strength Cardew and Oban I've tried, I've still not particularly enjoyed, and it's been too expensive. But this has what I want from that kind of cask strength Speyside style and Highland style that isn't particularly heavily peated. Just loads of big, fresh, rich fruit. It's refreshing to smell. It's almost thirst quenching to just come across the scent of it. As you dive deeper, it gets a little bit more intense, which is why I think there's some sherry cask stuff kicking around in here, or maybe even some other stranger wine casks. But there's this brown sugar note. There's this really kind of deep, dark, sticky toffee note to it. Really cool. Let's taste it. Let's see what's going on. I've realised you lot looking at the bottle is probably better than looking at me just tasting whiskey. Big, sweet, voluptuous arrival. I must say thank you again to Mark for sending me these samples, because I thought there'd just be 5, and now he's sent me so many weird samples that we'll be reviewing throughout the next couple of months. But yeah, thank you to Mark for sending this to me. Voluptuous and sweet. It does start to get a little bit thin towards the end. I think the way to summarise this whiskey is that it's very much a a no rough edges style of whiskey. It is easy drinking, it's very approachable, it's got a beautifully attractive nose. Sorry, that's quite loud. It's just chewy and wonderful. However, there is a bit of a consistent thing happening with these miniatures, which is where I find if they're open for quite a long time, because I think I originally did a written review for this probably in January, maybe even before. Only getting around to reviewing it now. It has become a little bit kind of like aspartic, a little bit like kind of at the finish. It's almost got a grain alcohol, very young grain feel to the finish of it. It's a little bit kind of, a bit more volatile, almost diesel, kind of petrol fume like. But some of you might be into that. I'm kind of into it, I will say. But that is something I've noticed a little bit with these older miniatures, that you do tend to get that very intense, almost industrial feel towards the end of it. I don't know if it's something to do with how it's been stored or the glue in the little cap. I'll show you what I mean by that, because these older minis and even newer minis have this little white cap on the inside of them. Sometimes if they're not stored correctly, the glue from that can infect the flavour a little bit, but outside of that, very tasty whiskey. Was one of the most interesting ones I've tried. I can tick Northport off my closed distillery list now. But yeah, I think overall I'd give that whiskey like an 8 out of 10. It's a very interesting product, it's very tasty, it's very lovely. I could see myself drinking it in summer if it was available and cheap. But as I said with, oh God, what distillery was it? I think it was with a Little Mill that I bought off auction. Oh no, it was a Pittyvake, sorry. Oh no, it was both. We got a Little Mill and a Pittyvake. You can kind of see why some of these distilleries closed, because they're interesting to taste now from like a historical nerd perspective. But, you know, they kind of get lost in the ether of all the other Highland and Speyside whiskies that exist around them. But yeah, I think an 8 out of 10 is very suitable. I don't disagree with Whisky Base's score on this one. 84 for like the nostalgia effect of it. But yes, thank you all for watching, and that was our Northport Brechin review. And I'll see you all next week for something very interesting. See ya.